Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me today, as always, is the Welsh, and it's you, the Peanuts, the Cracker Jacks, all here on our YouTube channel, Fantasy Pros MLB. If you haven't already subscribed, I'm questioning your life choices. I just am. We are getting closer and closer to closing in that gap, too, for those subscribers who want to hit a new mark. I'm trying to see, where are we at exactly now, Welsh? Because I want to say we're at the almost 8K mark. Yeah, so 7.41. That's where we're at right now.
What can we do to bribe them? Is there
That's a
something
good
we
question.
could
Bribery
do?
is really what we should be doing. Yeah.
Okay, here's an idea. When we hit 8K, say when we hit 8K, we should definitely give something away. We should not consult Fantasy Pros, and we should make them promise something big. We'll just put it on air, so we force their hand. That's what we do here, Joe. But then also, maybe one lucky person gets a random phone call from Joe Pizzapia. He will call you randomly, could be at 2 a.m, and we'll talk with you for like 5 minutes, and he'll do a Ray Liotta impression, and maybe he'll leave a voicemail. I think he could do your voicemail message.
Any Joe Pizzapia cameo related thing I will do for free if we hit 8K. I'll definitely do, whoever that
there you go,
8,000th person is. Yeah, whoever that person is, definitely in for that without a doubt. I hope you were paying attention to yesterday's show, boys and girls, because Shohei Ohtani had himself a day. The Welsh feels like we're telling future here when it comes to the futures.
We kind of talked about that. I was also saying, remember that strikeout prop was really, really enticing. You always get a little like, whenever you see him at like 6.5 or 7 or something like that. But it was like, hey, take that. And if he goes out and he dominates, watch out what's going to start happening and watch that line move. I have not looked to see if that line moved, but big dominant performance from Shohei Ohtani with 13 strikeouts. Would have loved him to have a homer to go with it, but within a 2-day period, 2 homers, 8 RBI, and 13 strikeouts, kind of MVP-ish. No big deal.
Not too bad. Not too shabby there in terms of Shohei Ohtani. So yeah, Ohtani follows up the 8 RBI game, with a 13 strikeout game. Not too bad. Jordan Alvarez hit 2 more home runs. So anybody who was good in baseball last night was good last night in baseball. Like that was pretty much the tale.
What?
Like,
did you say anyone that's good was good?
Anyone that is good in baseball was good last night. Like all the best of the best, I feel like were shining last night. Jordan Alvarez had the 2 home runs. Aaron Judge had the 2 monstrous home runs there. Shohei Ohtani striking out 13 guys. It was kind of like the stars were out in Major League Baseball. It kind of felt like to me. Yeah, Jesse Winker. Yeah,
I have a comment to add. Unless you want to finish this is on the Ohtani MVP stuff. Unless you want to finish.
We're gonna get more to that. We got plenty of time to do Ohtani MVP, so I'm here for that whenever you want. But go ahead. Okay, start more.
I just happened to look over on DraftKings as we were going, and I don't know where you were pulling from yesterday, the exact odds, because I believe it was even money on Judge and plus 5-1 essentially on Ohtani. Over on DraftKings, I will say Judge is minus money on DraftKings at 125. So that's a newer development. But Shohei Ohtani is now 380, plus 380. And we predicted we would get at 4 if he has a really good performance. I don't think we thought 13 strikeouts was in the future. He's now under 4-1. Ohtani is not the favorite, but moved to under 4-1.
Yeah, we'll get to those betting pros lines in a second there. And look, we told you, we're trying to help you out. We're trying to win you money here. We're trying to do good deeds. I hope you're paying attention. I hope you're with us. Jesse Winker homer drove in 3 runs against the A's. George Kirby, 6 scoreless innings for him. So good start for Mr. Curbs. Yep. Austin Hayes had himself a night too, head for the cycle, and still a rain-shortened game anyway. So that was pretty impressive. You also had Nolan Arenado go ahead 2-run homer. Oscar Gonzalez at a homer. The Cleveland Guardians are in first place right now. Freddie Freeman left the yard yesterday in a win over the Reds, and Pablo Lopez fanned 6 in a victory over the Rockies, while the Braves picked up Charlie Morton, who started well. Carlos Rodon with a good road start, which we talked about. His road starts haven't been great. Well, he was good last night, 10 strikeouts, but the Braves got the big walk-off. So, look, the headlines are yours, Welsh. What do you want to pick and choose from today?
Oh, well, I mean, I kind of want to just talk about Ohtani all day if we could, but we don't need to. We've already gone there. As far as these, I continuously love cycles. I think Austin Hayes is crazy underrated. And I kind of even like acknowledge that to myself in the preseason when, going through ranks. And Austin Hayes just had that like long period of time where he was just struggling with injuries, just completely unheralded as far as his offensive impact. With the Orioles, we talk about Ryan Mountcastle, not just because of Mayer, but Austin Hayes is definitely one of those. Really in Dynasty too. I don't think he gets quite the love. I'm quite the fan of Austin Hayes long-term. And, the other two that just jump out, I guess no surprise, it's all young guys. Very much into seeing Kirby continue to dominate in this respect, because especially early on in his first couple of starts, or after his first two, I think it was his like next three, was just pitching to crazy contact. He's finding rhythm. And Oscar Gonzalez, major contact guy who continues to hit under the radar for everybody. Really, he's not a big monster power guy, but he just makes tons and tons of contact. He did hit a homer last night, drove in 4. Probably someone you should take a look at. Maybe in 12, definitely deeper, but maybe in 12 and stuff like that. You could stream him. He's great for batting average, and it's not completely empty. So young guys showing out. You said all the stars are being stars. Well, the young guys are starting to show out as well.
Yeah, here's some fun requests too from the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Wonky Penguin wants me to call at 2 a.m. and do a Shakespearean monologue in Ray Liotta voice. I'll do that. I got no problem with that. My cousin wants me to call him as Christopher Walken. I call him anyway, so it really doesn't make much sense here. If
Donnie,
Joe calls me,
all wrong.
I want a 5-minute apology directed towards Dare Ogunbowale. No,
I like
that I won't do.
No, I think that's a fair. But here's the deal, though. I think this offer ends July 1st. So you guys, I'm saying this specific offer, we're going to Joe, I'm the one that's setting Fantasy Pros up. I say we give away something that they're not comfortable with. And Joe he will follow you on Twitter and he will call you. I'm just setting this for Joe, and Joe will call you personally from his phone and talk to you. But we have to get to 8K by July 1st. If not,
I'll give away old baseball cards. I'll do all kinds of fun things. We get to 8K. We'll definitely make that work. I got no problem with that. Incentivization is good. Injuries are not. Sal Perez undergoing MRI on that injured thumb, but Jorge Alfaro keeps on hitting home runs. Yeah. So isn't that kind of the perfect guy right now to be grabbing and stashing on your bench and hopefully put him in the lineup next week? Or if you can get him now in a daily transaction league and put him in your lineup, right?
Didn't I just talk about him yesterday? I think we just talked about this yesterday. This is a guy I picked up personally in tout in these these awesome 2-catcher league. These things that everybody wakes up and everyone's like, oh, you know what's going to get me into fantasy baseball? 2 catchers. That's what's going to get me when we're really trying to, grow the sport. But Jorge Alfaro is one of those guys who's even moving beyond just 2-catcher leagues. It's funny. Something we're going to do here in a little bit had me having to look at catchers and voting on catchers. And it's something I don't want to do. My catcher stance is very similar-ish to Jake Seeley's kicker stance, which I'm just not into it. Though I won't not have my team
that's a little different. You can play
kickers.
fantasy football without kickers in your life is perfectly fine. You should play with a catcher. Playing with 2, especially in 15-team leagues where you're going 30 deep, is nonsense. It makes no sense to me. I understand why it was once. Actually, I don't even understand why it was once a thing. I really don't.
I don't at all.
I don't get it.
Everything else in fantasy baseball, for the most part, makes sense. We have the corner middle infielder thing. That's just to get a few more hitters in. But 2 catchers. But I guess to the fair point, someone could argue is why do we have 5 outfielders as well? But beyond the top couple guys, it's a big clump. I actually just was working on my my updated redraft ranks, which I'm going to have over at endlessleague.com July 1st, or right in the first week of July. And it's a huge clump to me. Maybe there's one guy at the top, and then there's 7 guys over here, and then it just keeps kind of just getting
especially
more
Sal
money.
Perez has been awful this year for the most part.
Will Smith hasn't been good.
Ray Almuto has been terrible.
But my point is that back end, if you're living in that pool, Jorge Alfaro is exactly the type of guy you should own and should have, because you can dump whatever Sean Murphy or whatever loser catcher you have, and you pick him up and you run Alfaro out there for a bit. And then when he struggles, you just move right on. Alfaro's really, really great. Was once a top prospect as well with the Phillies as a catcher. Went to the Marlins, and now he's here.
I want to say started out with the Rangers, if memory serves. Am I correct?
No, I believe it was the Phillies. Now I'm going to have to look. No? Let's see.
I think he was a Ranger first.
Draft.
I think he was drafted by the Texas Rangers.
I mean,
well, he was there at some point.
You.
There was some. Maybe he went there from the Phillies. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But
yeah, well, now I gotta look.
Well, now I've thrown a challenge to Mr. Prospect here. If I get this right, then that's one in my column.
Oh, I'm gonna be super. It'll be super upsetting if you're correct about that. Let's see. You know what? You are right about that. Yeah, man, this is wild. I don't remember this at all. 2000.
Could you say it one more time? Because I never hear it.
Joe,
you're right about that. Yeah.
You were right about that. 2010, he was drafted by the Rangers, it looks like, and he was with them through 2014 to high A, and then he was traded to Philly in 2015, and he was with Philly all the way through 2018. So my prime mental years of Alfaro were in the Philly years.
I'm trying to remember. He was in a deal that went over to the Phillies it was something like relatively useful. Like I remember it was kind of a deal, the transaction was off the top of my head, but I do remember him being with the Rangers when he came up and look, and sometimes it just takes guys a long time to figure things out, or maybe it's just a hot streak. Regardless, before we get into the rest of the show, I do want to tell everybody who's watching and listening, we are going to vote for the All-Star game today live on the show. So Welsh and I are going to fill out our ballots here, and we would like you to participate. If you are one of the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks, you can have your vote as we're going position by position, because there's no real DFS tonight. It's a Thursday night. It's like a short slate. So we said, hey, let's have some fun. The All-Star game's around the corner. I'm gone next week. Let's do a fun thing. Let's do bits. I love bits. I know everybody loves bits.
You love bits. I've got the trade, by the way. I believe.
What is the trade?
It's a whole article, so it's a little complicated. I believe it looked like for a minute this was in a
it wasn't the Cole Hamels.
It looked like it, but it goes,
oh my gosh.
The Phillies, let's see. Yes. Okay. So the Phillies agreed to trade Cole Hamels to the Rangers in exchange. The Phillies got Jake Thompson, Jorge Alfaro, Jared Eckhoff, outfielder Nick Williams, and Alec Asher, right-hander. I mean, what a pile of garbage to look back on. One of my favorite things, you know what? I might start a new podcast, Joe. I might start a new podcast, and the podcast is going to be
bad prospect trades.
It's going to be going back on trades, looking back on trades, and maybe able to do a 5-year window and just analyzing one trade an episode. That's going to be my new podcast, because think of how blockbusterish this was. I do remember this at the time. Nick Williams was a huge prospect, and look at what garbage this is. No one exists in this trade except literally no one exists in this entire trade except Jorge Alfaro. He's the only one that
he was the big piece, because he was the big power hitting catcher that was supposed to go in and hit a bunch of home runs in that little Philly ballpark, and it just never happened, unfortunately.
No. So, and he was up right around JP Crawford. I think that's why my brain gets Alfaro as Philly, because he was up around the JP
every
Crawford
now and then the Joey P memory comes through.
God,
every now and then.
The worst thing, you getting this right. It's the worst thing. Thank God you're on vacation next week. Thank God.
I'm actually surprised that I'm surprised that you didn't just come to it sooner there.
Didn't register in my brain Jorge Alfaro. It was all Phillies.
Right. So, we've spent way too much time on Jorge Alfaro today.
Let's spend more.
Let's spend more time on Shohei Ohtani instead. So if you were listening yesterday, we told you some places had it at about 5, right? Maybe even 5.5. I don't know. One house had it at 6. The consensus betting pros number now. The consensus number is plus 400 after last night's performance. It moved a whole
25%. It moved 25%, right? Kind of overall.
And in some places, as Welsh is saying, it's plus 350 on BetMGM, plus 350 over on FanDuel, on DK. You said DK had it on 350.
DK is 380.
380 has it. Okay. So, and Fox bets at 375. So look, this was coming. You had to be prepared for it. Hopefully you got it at the 5-1. Now here's the thing I'm going to say. Now it's back to 3.5. So if you didn't listen last night, Welsh, is this the time for people to go in at 3.5 again if they want to get Ohtani? Because now if he rattles off a really hot end of June into the All-Star game, there's a real good chance here that Shohei Ohtani is going to get real close to Aaron Judge here at some point.
So Yeah, there's a couple things with that. We did this conversation over on in this league pod that airs today, because Bogman has been like you, kind of in the exact same respect that any bet besides Otani is silly. And here's the thing: one of the focuses we did in the episode was looking at like future projections the rest of the year. If you go by projections, the Bat X, Derek Carty's probably one of the most accurate. I think it's been voted in that respect. If you go by Derek Carty's projection systems, Otani will have over 185 strikeouts, over 10 wins. He will have a low, like around 3.3 ERA, and that's as a pitcher. On the hitting side, he will have around 35 homers, over 20 stolen bases, and he will have 100 run and 100 RBI. So think about that for a minute. 35, 20, 100, 100, and then like a 270 batting average, while also striking out almost 200 with double-digit wins. Listen, Aaron Judge is incredible. He had 2 more homers. He added to his cause. I just don't see a world where if he hits those numbers, I don't care what a Judge does. It's kind of like the Vlad
Well, it's the
thing
same thing
year.
with Vlad last year.
Yeah,
I told
remember?
everybody,
Oh,
he's going to win the triple crown. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all. I completely agree. So yes, I think this is the time to still bet Otani, because if this continues, if you keep going, if he gets hot, this is only going to get closer. It's only going to come down. At some point, it's going to be Judge plus 125 and Otani at 185. So you're only going to get extra odds here. And the best thing to continuously say is, these books really should consider stuff like what FanDuel does, where you can buy out of it if you want, because then your investment is an absolute no-brainer, because you're only going to add money at this point. That's one thing I feel really confident about. Even if he doesn't win, if you play on FanDuel specifically, where you can buy out,
going to be plus
you are
money. You
only going to profit on this. So yeah, it's an absolute bet for me.
All right, here's fun facts for you. With 6 multi-homer games already this season, Aaron Judge joins Babe Ruth, 1928, as the only player in franchise history to achieve that feat with the Yankees in his first 70 games of a season. That's according to ESPN Stats and Info. Judge has 22 multi-homer games as a Yankee, trailing Ruth, who has 68. Mantle has 46, Lou Gehrig has 43, Joe DiMaggio 35, and A-Rod at 29. So Judge has been great, but to be a great Yankee takes a lot more. On this day in baseball, here's a fun one. 1984, and I remember watching this game as a kid in Brooklyn. I remember I think it was a Saturday afternoon, I believe, if memory serves. And clearly memory serving me pretty well today. 1984, the Chicago Cubs' Ryne Sandberg hit not 1, but 2 late inning home runs off Bruce Sutter. He tied the game. Then it went to, I think it was 11 innings. And then Sandberg hit the walk-off after that. So it was just an incredible thing where, they came back there. Just a vivid childhood baseball memory. And Ryne Sandberg was one of my favorite players.
How old are you? How do you, I was old. How old were you?
I was 6 years old. And I certain baseball things for me, just vivid memories. I mean, baseball, it wasn't much on TV, so like when you got game of the week, you remember these things. But I remember we were supposed to go out to dinner or something. I was like, wait, I want to see this. This is great. This is really like, I was being a pain in the ass.
Your parents are like, we're going to go eat. You're like, hey, yo, hold on.
Hey, yo, come on. I'm on.
Yeah, there's like 3 channels. I was 1, and I don't really remember anything probably pre 10 years old. So kudos to you.
I have very vivid. I have like that weird, like Sheldon Cooper identic memory kind of thing. Also, 1988, George Steinbrenner fires Billy Martin for the 5th time today in baseball. Replaced him with Lou Piniella. Then in 1985, Piniella was fired and replaced by Billy Martin. And in 1985, later that year, Martin was fired again and replaced by Piniella. I mean, I just wish this all happened in the days of social media, because the memes for Steinbrenner and Billy Martin would have just been absolutely spectacular. All right. I mean, we really missed out. Like, that would have been a special time. Could you imagine the madness of an owner now firing a manager and then rehiring them once, let alone 5 times? I mean, that is absurd to think that could happen.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, they used to smoke in the dugout back then. So, I mean, crazy stuff was happening back in baseball in the 80s. Cool.
Yes. A lot of stuff back in
a lot more stuff than that. A lot more stuff than cigarettes.
All right, here's a fun question. Your trivia question of the day, and this is courtesy of our own Mike Mayer. Austin Hayes hit for the cycle. Who was the last Oriole player to hit for the cycle? If you know the answer, drop it in the chat over Fantasy Pros MLB channel, and you're on the show again, who's the last Oriole to hit for the cycle. And I will say,
Brady Anderson?
Felix PA did it. This is the second time Felix PA has come up on the show in 2 weeks, which is
that's a lot of pie.
Absurd. But he did not do it. It is a lot of pie. So if you know who it is, drop it in there.
So your hint is it was after Felix PA.
Correct. It's between Felix PA and a hard place. No, it's between Felix PA and Austin Hayes. So PA
there's a good guess by Andre. I love that. I think Andre just got it. Am I correct about this?
Did Andre just get it? No, but Melvin Mora is a good answer.
That's a great guess. Andre, great guess there.
Melvin Mora. There's a player I haven't thought of in a long time.
I know. It got me actually excited. Like I
will give another hint though. Like Melvin Mora, this player did play for the Mets and the Orioles in his career, so that should be a little bit of help too.
Doesn't help me. But
okay. All right, let's move on here to the next bit of the show here. Let's do a little deep dive because we haven't done one in a little bit, and then we'll do our all-star voting and do some home run calls. So deep dive here over the last 15 games. I was looking at who the run leaders are, in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Kyle Schwarber's up at the top with 14. Nobody has more runs scored over the last 2 weeks than Kyle Schwarber. One of the best buy lows. We talked about him a million times. Adolis Garcia is at 13, along with Jake Cronenworth, Gleyber Torres, also at 13, CJ Cron at 12. And then you got Danny Mendick with 12 as well. Another name I did not expect to see. And Ahmad Rosario out there as well. So some surprising names there on that list in terms of, guys who are getting it done right now. And look, when someone's hot in those 2 weeks, you got to be playing them. You got to be putting them in the lineup. But I thought some of those names there were pretty, eventually you get to the Chisholms and the Goldschmidts and the Aaron Judges of the world at 11. But there's a whole other group up at the top here. And Schwarber was the top one. And I think Schwarber, if anybody's responded to the Joe Girardi firing, it feels like Schwarber's been that dude.
Yeah, I agree. A little jump ahead, I suppose, to the All-Star voting, but seeing Adolis Garcia on here, Adolis was actually somebody that I threw on. I threw on Adolis Garcia on my voting because he has been phenomenal this year. Statistically, it was actually in the there's a FantasyPros article that everybody might want to go check out of buy lows, and I think Joey and both myself are on there. And one of the things that was interesting, one of the guys I had was Juan Soto. What the opposite take can be is Adolis Garcia is beating Juan Soto in every single category except for homers, and they're one apart. Every other category he's had, and he's continuously been great. Over the last 30 days, I believe Adolis Garcia on Yahoo's algorithm, #1 player in standard 5x5. So Adolis Garcia, not surprised he's on this list, and I almost put him on the All-Star voting as well.
All right, very good. All right, let's move on to actually, we'll give you the trivia question first. So, and nobody seen Miguel Tejada again. Oh, somebody did get it. Look at Daryl. Daryl got it. Jonathan VR is the answer. Well done. Brian Roberts was a good guess. Brady Anderson was a good guess. But again, I told you it's more recent. So this was Jonathan VR was the last.
Yeah, Brady Anderson was my guess. I literally spouted it out right before you said the Felix PA thing, and I was like, oh.
2019 is when he did it. That was the last Oriole to go ahead. Good job, Daryl. You win my undying respect. There you go. All right, let's fly through some of the heroes and zeros, and then we'll go ahead to our home run calls and vote for the All-Star game. Let us start here, of course, with Shohei Ohtani at the top. 8 scoreless innings for him. Carlos Rodon, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 10 Ks for him. Charlie Morton, 11 strikeouts. Boy, oh boy. Morton finally getting on track after just a terrible first couple months of the season. Pablo Lopez was good again, 7 innings, 6 Ks, no earned runs, 1 run did given up by him. George Kirby, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs. Austin Hayes, 4 for 4 with the cycle. We mentioned Jordan Alvarez with 2 home runs, Carlos Correa with 2 home runs also, Aaron Judge with 2, Gio Urshela with a home run and a triple, 3 RBI. Ahmed Rosario, 4 for 5 with a home run. Patrick Wisdom with a home run. Jazz Chisholm with a home run as well. Jared Eichhoff was not good. 10 earned runs. This is the first time ever in Pirates history that the first time a guy took the mound for the Pirates gave up 10 earned runs. So way to make history, Jared Eichhoff. Good job. Lucas Giolito. That again, the ERA is up to 5.4. 7 earned yesterday, 11 hits. What's the situation here with Giolito? Because I'm concerned that it's a health issue here, Welsh. I do not like this trend here for Giolito at all. This is not good.
I think it might be the same thing. I'm actually going to do a little bit more of a deep dive. I'm going on RotoWire today with Jeff Erickson, and that's one of the guys we're going to be talking about. I don't think there's a stuff issue. I mean, believe me, Giolito hurts me more than anybody because that was my preseason guy. I had a preseason bet on him. I thought this was the year. He was coming into his own on strikeouts, was going to go deep into games, was going to lead that rotation. Really everything that Cease was doing outside of the crazy strikeouts, I thought Giolito was going to be the number one guy regardless of that. And I think there's got to be a health issue with it. I mean, I think over his last 5 starts, he's got like a 9 ERA. He's absolutely blown up. He's not throwing quality pitches on strikes, and he's getting hit up left and right. And there's no more strikeouts to speak of. So Giolito is not somebody that I'm done with. I definitely think you need to proceed with caution until we get, we get some answers. Is there an injury? Does he have to have an IL stent? But this is worrisome. This is really, really worrisome because we're beyond the whole like, hey, could he like win awards and could he? No, it's like, can we really maintain?
Do I want to start him at this point?
Exactly.
That's
way
worse.
Starting him. Yeah, I agree.
Man, and I made a trade for him in my home league this year and I tell you, man, like I was like, oh, Chris is great. I can't believe I got him at this cost. This is fantastic. Yeah. And it was a team that was looking to rebuild too. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. A cost efficient guy too. I can keep him next year. Dude, it has not been good. Not been good whatsoever. I can tell you that. So
no bueno.
Very, very frustrating. Very frustrating, no doubt about that. All right, let's move on here to some more. What do we have? We have, of course, more hitters who were bad. So let's go to that. Actually, we'll go a couple more pitchers too. Paul Blackburn, 7 earned runs. Mike Mayer did a little dance. Tariq Skubal, 6 earned runs. So a bad start from him. Remember last night, yesterday on the show, we said, look, normally we're all over Skubal. Let's stay away from it against Boston. So I'm glad we did that. Tristan McKenzie, 6 earned runs. He had been very good. This was a bad start for him. And Carlos Carrasco got lit up by the Houston Astros, 5 earned runs. Dalton Varsho, 0 for 5, 2 Ks. Wilson Contreras, 0 for 5, 2 Ks. Luis Urias, 3 Ks, hitting just 212 over 43 games. Not good. Marcus Semien, 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. Same for Nolan Gorman. Jeter Downs, 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. But Boston did chant, let's go Jeter in Fenway Park. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, get used to 0 for 4 with 3 Ks for Jeter Downs. So if you're a Red Sox fan, get used to that stat line because it's going to be going mighty familiar. Mighty familiar.
All right. So the time has come. It's time for us to vote for the All-Star game. So if you've got your favorites here that you want to vote for, again, we're going to do a position by position. Start with first base. Look, to me, first base is pretty easy. I know Goldschmidt and Alonso have been very close. It's very difficult in the National League to pick one of them, but I have to give it to Paul Goldschmidt, who's hitting 339 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and vote for Goldschmidt in the National League at first. Who are you voting for?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I don't need to add too much to it. Completely agree. Easy choice, Paul Goldschmidt for one. Even though I know Alonso's doing the work, this was easy. Where the AL first baseman was not easy.
You know, the AL first baseman, I want to give Ty France a chance. I really do.
Me too. I went the same exact spot.
319 batting average. I want to go with Ty France. That's who I want to vote for. I just feel like he deserves, like how many times is he going to get voted over Vlad Guerrero Jr.? Not many. So let's give him a chance here. You know, Vlad's probably going to make the team anyway because he's Vlad. Now, second base, I think it's pretty easy in the American League. It's Altuve for me. Do you agree?
No, actually, you know what? I just didn't like that number. I actually went with Torres, 32, he had 32 RBI with 13 homers. Just looking at the position, I'm shocked. Santiago Espinal is number 2 here, but Altuve has 24 total RBI right now. Glaber has the exact amount of homers, and he's got like 50% more RBI.
Altuve did miss a week, though, didn't he? I remember he was on the IL.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean, they're almost the same batting average. I think it's actually pretty putrid second base here. So I actually went with Glaber over Altuve.
And in the National League, is it Jazz Chisholm for you? Which has got to burn, right? That's
easy. Yeah, easy.
Okay, so third base here. Let's go into third base again. If you want to vote along with us, go for it. Third base, it's tight here between Jose Ramirez and Rafael Devers, but to me, it's got to be Jose Ramirez. I'm sorry. Like, he's just been unbelievable. So we were on board with that.
Samesies.
Okay. Samesies there, National League. Manny Machado, right? I mean, it's pretty easy.
Easy. Okay, those are easy ones.
This is one of the easier years of voting for the All-Star game. All right, this is going to be harder. Shortstop in the American League has not been great. I mean, you got, Bo Bichette is leading the voting right now. Tim Anderson is second, but Tim Anderson's been on the IL for a couple weeks. Bogarts is a nice player, but where do you want to go for this one?
You actually just said him. I would have loved to have gone Franco. I think there's all these great names. I went with Xander Bogaerts. He's hitting 335 with 31 RBI and almost 900 OPS. I think the names are out there, but this is a pretty easy decision for me.
All right. What about the National League? Where are you going here? Dansby Swanson have a good year, but seems like Trey Turner, right?
Yeah, I almost went Dansby, but I'm going with Trey Turner. 50 RBI, lots of stolen bases. It was pretty easy, Trey Turner, even though Dansby is an easy all-star this year.
How many catchers do you want to vote for today? Just one?
I mean, I voted for none. I didn't vote for a single catcher, though.
I'm voting for the fat guy. I'm voting for Alejandro Kirk. Come on, let's go. Let's have some
AL's
fun.
garbage. I literally look at it and I don't know who to pick. Like he's first in voting. Sure, if you want that. On the NL side,
National League is Contreras. I mean,
Wilson Contreras easy. Yeah, it's Wilson Contreras easy. But I just don't see an AL catcher. Honestly, I think they're just or Kirk maybe. I guess.
All right. So in the American League, in the outfield, Aaron Judge. I think we can all agree on that. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Aaron Judge, we're locking and loading there. Who is your second guy that you want to lock and load in the outfield? Trout?
Well, Trout is on there. Yes. Okay, so I'll give you my last one. I think Trout and him are easy. I went with Julio Rodriguez as my third one. I told you I was considering Adolis in there, but Julio, with how he's played on the year, almost hitting 280, 33 RBI, tied or been lead. I don't know if he got surpassed, but at the top of stolen bases, he's been a linchpin. I think it's actually pretty easy. Julio number 3.
Just as long as it's not Buxton.
I didn't put Buck. I'm not. Come on.
I'm not. I know. I'm just teasing you.
I'd like to.
But yeah, Julio's fun. I like the Julio one. It's tough here. Springer and Stanton are kind of the same guy. Like they're kind of similar. I don't know. I mean, I like George Springer, but you know what? I think you convinced me with Julio. Leading the American League in stolen bases too. Let's go. In the National League though. Let's go to these guys. You want to put Acuna in, even though he missed time, or no?
I did. He was actually my last choice. He was also stealing
Mookie Betts, right? That's the one.
Yeah, Mookie was number one, regardless of injury. Acuna got there. He's put up good numbers in a very short period of time, so he's pretty easy to put up there. And my last one, I really struggle with NL outfielders. I actually put the Schwarbs. The Schwarbs, even though the batting average is low right now, I put 19 homers, 39 RBI, but I could be sold in a different direction, because I'll also tell you Bryce Harper's listed as a DH on this, so that kind of changed for me. It would be Harper. I kept trying to add him and I'm like, why is this not working? But he's a DH, so I went with Schwarbs, but I'm not confident about it. He's just such a mashing home run guy. The average is pretty putrid though to be an all-star, but I just don't see, like, who did you pick? Who else?
No, I actually think Schwarber is the right answer. I mean, he's got a ton of home runs, and that's fun. That's what you want. You want some power in there. Bryce Harper does make sense at DH, but the problem is the American League now. You got Jordan Alvarez and Shohei Ohtani you got to choose from. Now, look, you can't deny Alvarez, I feel like, as a hitter. But I want Ohtani in this game. I mean, I'd love him to start the All-Star game. That would be my ideal situation. So that's where I'd like to be. But
I went with Alvarez over the assumption that he would be a starter. He would make the lineup and he'd be a pitcher and all that stuff. But I went with Alvarez. I mean, he's hitting over 300 with 21 homers and 1,000 OPS. I don't know how he doesn't be the starting DH.
Yeah, he's got to be. All right, we got to get out of here today. Before we do, give me your home run call for the night. Welsh, where are you going?
We're going to go Buck. We're going to go the Buxton. Speaking of, Plesac likes to give up some homers, 10 homers in 60-ish innings pitched. He didn't play yesterday. He should be in the lineup today. Give me big bombs from Byron Buxton.
All right, give me Jordan Alvarez at 2 yesterday. We've got Judge and Alvarez going head-to-head.
Give me no whammies.
Really so I'm going to go with the Alvarez side of that one. So that'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. Don't forget, when you make your wagers, go over to BetMGM. And of course, make sure you bet $10 to win $200 at BetMGM, the king of sports books. That's all you got to do. Promo code leading off. One word is leading off. Go to BetMGM right now. I know we were light on the props and DFS today, but that was the All-Star Game special. But if you're going to go make your Ohtani move, now's the time to do it, and do it at BetMGM. Again, leading off is the promo code when you sign up for new users at betmgm.com or download the app. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on for the Welsh. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. You're all stars.
No Bucks.